Hi everyone, my name's Lou Sims and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at stamping onto coloured backgrounds using, I've used a white embossing powder and then just keeping the colouring very simply with a white pencil and maybe a touch of other colours. So we're going to be looking at creating square cards like this. I'm using the Shady Designs Oval Frame It 1 and 2 stamp set, and we've got this one. I couldn't decide on a final pattern, so I thought the simplest thing to do was just go and see what sort of patterns I could come up with on coloured cardstock using the different sets of stamps. Right, if new to my channel, love it if you subscribed, hit like, hit the notifications. I'm going to put the cards away and get everything out to show you how we created them. Right, I've gone for a coloured card, and these are from my stash and already sized, so I don't really have to do much with them. I thought it'd be rather cool to pick colours I would not normally go for, and use, the techniques we're going to do today. Now, I use normally a white ink. I'm just grabbing it. But I know this can be quite tricky to find. This is the Hero Arts Unicorn White. And it stays perfectly white. But as I know it's probably a little bit tricky to find, especially here in the UK, I'm going to use a clear ink and we're going to just use white embossing powder to create all the different techniques we're doing today. So I'm just going to get one of the cards, get my stamp platform, and we'll get going. Right, I've grabbed my anti-static bag just to start with. I'm dreadful, actually, if I'm honest, at forgetting to use it, and then I get cross with myself that the stamps or the embossing doesn't look as clear as I would like. So I'm going with the I'm going to blow a bit of that powder off, actually. That's a bit better. I'm going to go with the oval frame it stamps, and I'm using this one, which is part of set 1, no, part of set 2. So it's oval frame it 2, and I'm going to put it slightly off. So let's just move my card along. And the reason I've got the grid behind here is for no other reason than I kept actually messing up my black stamping mat, and I had to keep cleaning it. So at least if I just use the grid paper, it's a little bit more of a consumable item. So I'm just going to put some clear ink on here. Any clear ink, that works with an embossing powder. If you don't have a clear ink, you can use a dye-based ink and then add your embossing powder on top. That can create quite a cool effect because sometimes you see the colour you've used underneath. So this is not going to show up at the moment until I put the embossing powder. And I want to do the same in the opposite corner. Now I'm going off the edge slightly because I quite fancy that look. I'm trying to be as quick as possible so that the embossing powder, also the ink doesn't dry or get soaked into my card too quickly. So I'm just going opposite sides. Quite like the idea that I can then cut this panel down if I want to. Right, so let's just grab my embossing powder and a scrap piece of card. Right, I'm just going to grab my bag, anti-static bag, and I'm just being careful that I don't go near my previous embossing. And let's just take away the excess again. Sorry if my head got in the way. And I just want to stamp a bit around the outside. So rather than put it on my platform, I'm just keeping it in my platform. And I can just add the little bits of extra detail that I want to add just in tiny places. So. And all I'm doing really is just finishing off my design on here. So now I've got my design. I'm going to put this to one side and I'll do all my embossing in one go. Right, I've grabbed another colour and I'm just going to find my anti-static bag and just put some of this on. There we go. And I'm going to stick to the same sort of design as I did before, or starting off point at least, and then see from there where it goes. Okay, so I've got that design now created, so I'm just going to put that to one side and see from there. I've picked up some fluff from there, but I'll get some tweezers and pull that away. I think that's something in my embossing powder that I need to be careful of. So let's put this one away and start with another one. Right, so I've gone for a bright pink this time, and I'm going to go for the stamp set from the Oval Frame It 1. I'm just working out which way I would like to go. So I'm going to go that way. I'm just going to be good and remember my anti-static bag. And I thought it'd be nice to bring in the same stamp as we were doing before, or in my head I did, and I'm just working out where I want to place it. And I'm just going to place it about there. So let's just move you. Okay, I've got my pattern here, and like the others, I'm just going to put this to one side and I'll heat emboss them all at the same time. Right, I've got my a black piece of card this time, and I've gone for A4. I haven't cut it down because I thought we'd have a go at making a bigger pattern, and then, you know, create the shape size from there. I think I'm going to probably end up with something like an A5 size card. So let's just put some anti-static bag on here. I'd rather work on a bigger piece of card and then be able to cut it down, you know, then start on a smaller piece and get myself all frustrated because it didn't quite work in my head. Just going to put a little bit more ink on. This is going to be, until I put the white embossing powder on, this is going to be tricky to see what I've actually done. Now, whereas I did the previous ones and, you know, did them all at the same time, so I can line up my pattern, I'm going to put the white embossing powder on as I go. Right, I've got some over embossing bits there, but I will knock them back when I come to do everything at the same time. Now, this is the largest stamp from the Oval Frame It 1, and I'm going to put that in. Which way round? I'm just playing with my composition about where I want it to be. I'm going to put it there and just hope my fingers haven't left marks on the card. As I said, I'm going to emboss this with the powder so I can see where I'm going as I go along. Right, so that's in place, and I just now want to place the frame, the oval frame, and I'm just working out where I'd like it to go. There we go. And this is because of the black, and I can't see the embossing as clearly as I could on the coloured card, why I've done it bit by bit. Now, there is some embossing powder that's come away just there, which when I put this embossing powder on, I will knock away. But actually, sometimes leaving your embossing powder on creates extra colour, extra depth in your design. So it doesn't always have to be 100% perfect. It just adds that little extra. So we've got that part there. Oh, so as you can see, so that now is my complete frame using those two parts there on the black. Now I'm going to get one other colour card, which is craft, because we might as well experiment on as many colours as possible and you know, see where it takes us. I'm going to start with this one again, and let's put some anti-static bag down. Now I'm using an antique craft card from Dolly Dimples because I didn't want the darkness of a true craft card, but I still wanted that sort of effect. So we could have a you know, a complete, we've got a coloured card, but it's not, you know, dense colour. Okay, so that's my first layer down. I've got a little bit of over embossing there, but I'm not going to let that worry me. I'm just going to change that. And what I thought I'd do is I'm just working out where I'd like my frame to go. So I'm just going to put it there. What I'm trying to do is work out, I'm going to do it on a stamp block, because let me just grab the stamp block. What I want to do is I'm just going to put the stamp down so it just relaxes and sits down in place. What I want to do is create the oval shape and sort of have it touch. I'm just working out where I want to put the embossing in, which is roughly halfway up. And it'll be easier if I do that, because then I'm not disturbing the embossing I've already done. Any bits I miss, I could grab an embossing pen and just add that in. So I've just got that there. And any bits I've gone over, I can take a little paintbrush to and take them away. So let's just do. So if I lift it up, you can see I've gone over just about there, and I've got some over stamping here. So I'm just going to grab a little paintbrush and I'll take all those little bits away. So I'm going to grab now all of the ones that, you know, I've stamped and got ready to emboss. I'm going to clean them up where I think they might need cleaning up, but actually I might just leave it, and I'll be back once I've got them all embossed. Right, I've gone away and I've embossed and I've cut down the larger pieces. Now, I could have been sneaky, and where I've got some of the embossing going over there, I could have knocked those designs away, but actually I quite like the effect that it gives. And I wanted to show that, you know, you don't have to have pristine embossing to create, you know, a finished card or a finished effect. So that's the one on black. So we did that pattern there. This is the one on that deep cerise. And I think what I'm going to probably do once I've coloured it is probably cut down here and make it a smaller panel, but we'll see after colouring. And that's the one done on blue. And I actually like where we've got some of the embossing powder. I'm trying to pick it up if I can, overblown, because that just adds to the background for me. And then we've got the same on the purple. And finally, the antique craft card. So if I'm going to start, I'm going to colour most of them the same. And let's start with the purple one first. Let's just put these ones to one side. I'm going to begin with a white pencil. If you don't have a white pencil, you could use an acrylic paint and water it down. That will give a soft look over it. Or a white watercolour, but you would need to keep it quite creamy. So, over sharpen my pencil there. So I'm just going to add I don't want my white pencil colouring to be as obvious as the embossed lines I've actually created. But that also means that then, because I put the light colour down, if I want to go in with a coloured pencil, because I've got the white layer there, I can actually do so as well. So that's like my first layer that I'm going to add on with the white. Now I'm going to carry on colouring these exactly the same, and I will go ahead and probably, well, I'll definitely colour these, but I'm not going to, with the white layer, I'm not going to do anything more spectacular than what I've just done there. And then once they're all coloured, we could look at maybe adding a little bit more colour or a little bit more depth with the white pencil. Right, I've gone away, as I said I would, and I've coloured up, and I've kept to the same colouring style with the white. So that's on the antique craft. That's now on the black. That's it on that fuchsia pink. And then on the blue. And finally on the purple. I love how they, they all pop, but all look slightly different because we've got a different layout on each card. So I think my plan next is I'm going to add a little bit of colour, again with pencils, on each of them. And that's just because I'm thinking of the embellishments I might add to each of these cards. Like this one here, I fancy being like pink and antique-y. This one, I'm either thinking of reds and golds and making it look not oriental, but that sort of vibe. And the pink one here, I'm actually thinking of adding maybe a little bit of orange and yellow just to make it pop and make it look a little bit tropical. And I think this one I'm going to keep quite simple and just add maybe some teals in a teal sort of blue in with it. And just make it all about the frame and a few accent stamping and the sentiment in the centre for that one. And then the purple one, I thought what would be nice is just to add some little pops of maybe a pink, but again keep it quite simple and make it about maybe some of the accents that I add on to each of the cards. So I'm going to grab my pencils and we'll get started. Right, I'm going to start with these two colours first and just see where it takes me. As I said, I thought it'd be nice just to try something a little bit different. And because I've got the white down, I'll just do one and lift it up to the camera so you can see. Because I've got the white down, I can then go on with another colour and it will actually show up. I don't want to lose all the white that we've got, because I do like the idea of that being my ghost shadow. So I'm just going to add a little bit more here. I'm just going to go a little bit darker towards the centre part. So as you can see, I've just added a little bit more. I might just blend that little bit out there. And I'm going to do what I consider the leaf shapes now with the red, and then I'm probably going to go over the flowers with a mixture of both. Okay, so that's my colouring done on there. I'm not sure if I want to add a little bit of white in places, just to add shadowing. But at the moment, I'm going to leave it, as is, and see once I start making the card up and adding on the other parts I want, whether I actually need to do that. I'm going to leave this part uncoloured because I actually quite like the idea that your eye is drawn here first, and then the sentiment can go there. But again, that'll be, as I come to make the card up, that will influence my decisions then. So that's that one finished. On to the next. Right, for the blue one, I've gone for some like teal colours, so they're going to be quite subtle and like a chartreuse yellow, chartreuse sort of thing, which has got like a yellow green. And I'm going to colour these in and just see again where it takes me with my colouring, whether I add a little bit more or a little bit less. So it's adding a little bit of subtle shading to it. And I'm going to do the main leaves, I think, in these colours. But I think I'm going to pick up some of the white and make the white deeper for the other areas rather than colour everything in. So I've got those bits done, and I'm now going to start with the white and see if I want to add anything elsewhere colour wise. So that's that one finished, and just with the little pops of colour. Again, I'm thinking I might add some little white highlights around here, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm going to leave the colouring like that, and once I've got it layered up on my card base, I can then, you know, decide where it needs little bits and pieces. Right, getting on the roll here, so I'm going to move on to the next one. I couldn't decide here, so as you can see, I've got a collection out, so I'm just going to go, I want to go for a tropically, so really bright and bold for this. So I'm just going to go with it and see where it takes me. So we've got the leaves, or what's perceived as the leaves, coloured up. And I'm going to now just go ahead and colour some of these up and bring in, possibly stay to the same colours, or one or two slightly darker. Right, that's that one done, and I'm quite happy with the way that's turned out. I might add a few more bits. I keep saying that, don't I? But I just might. Right, let's grab the purple one next. And the purple one, and then finally it's going to be the antique craft. Right, with this one, I am going to think I'm going to bring in a little bit of shading around and extend it because the pattern seems to be a little bit smaller. That's just what's going on in my head. So I've got a little bit of shadowing going on. I'm just going to do a little bit more, not much more. Otherwise, I think it'll look, I don't know, too much. And then it's going to be about making this into a card. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I'm actually now not liking the colours I've got and what I've done. So I'm just going to stop, and it's going to be then what I can do to change it in my eyes. So I'm going to put the pencils away and start mounting the base layers onto the cards, and I'll be back and we'll be looking at what we can do, to add some extra detail, sentiments, so on and so forth. Right, I've gone away, like I said, and I've mounted up my cards onto, or my bases onto my card blanks, and I've done a mixture. So I've got some 6x6 cards. This is A5, and this is about a 7x5 card. And what I want to do now is I want to add a little bit of extra detail, and I'm using the Hit the Note stencil and my white pencil, and I'm just going to add some stenciling through, but I'm going to use my pencil to do it. And I just want to, tie in some of the areas like where there's gaps, rather than just do shading with some of the stencil design. So that's what I'm going to do. As this one's on the top, I'm going to start with this one first. Right, a stencil has like hearts, musical notes, and different things in. So I want to bring in some of those elements in different places, and just tie in some of the design. I'm using a pencil rather than a jelly pen, a jelly roll pen, because a jelly roll will be a little bit brighter, and I want these to be a little bit subtler in the background. So if I don't press too hard with my pencil, I can create a little subtle, if I lift it up, you can see I can create some subtle detailing in the background. And that's what I want to do. I want the flowers to still be the focal point, but just to tie in some of those little bits and pieces. I'm going to carry on and just fill in where I think, there'd be nice to have some little bits of extra detailing. So I've got some subtle shading on in different places on the actual card, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that now on all the other cards and add in some extra little bit of detailing too. Okay, I'm happy with that. So if I lift it up a little bit, you can see I've just added, and it just creates that little bit of ghosting in the background for me. I'm not a less is more person, and possibly I could have just stopped there. But so we've got that one there. And then on the black, I've just added a few little pieces. Oh, let's move you guys over. The same with the pink. So it's doing it very lightly with the white pencil. It gives that little impression of a ghosting shadow. Sorry, I did pause as I was looking. Right, so they're all done. And what I've done now in between is I didn't know what I wanted to use as embellishments. So from a mixture of both the the oval frame it 1 and 2, I've cut out a lot of the flowers, some of the hearts, some of the smaller sprigs. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to use them, but I thought, well, if I cut them all out, at least I've got them there to do it. And what I want to do is just grab some sentiments now, and get them arranged and just add the final few pieces to my cards. All right, I've sorted out my sentiments. Now, one of the reasons I didn't do them on video is I'm dreadful for picking sentiments and can take forever and a day. So you really do not need to see that level of faffing, trust me. Anyhow, so I've taken some and I've used the creative stickers from Dolly Dimples. And they're a mix of traditional, there's a mix of humour and things like that within them. So a little bit of everything. So each one now has the sentiment that I want to put on it. And because I've used, these are self-adhesive stickers on either vellum or clear, but because I'm putting them onto coloured backgrounds, I have just mounted them onto the card so I can raise them up as well. So as I said, so each one now has got its sentiment, and then now it's just to decorate and add all the other little elements that I want to add to each of the cards. So I'm going to go and start adding, like I said, all the bits and pieces I've got here and just finishing off, I suppose, the finishing touches. Right, I think everything's dry. I think I finished faffing, and here are the finished cards. So this was on the blue background, and I've kept all the decoration very similar on each one, and just stuck mainly to the flowers and added gems, a few little splats of a shimmer pen on the top, and that's that design there. This one I've kept probably one of the simplest. I just like, and I'm not a purple fan, but I just do like the contrast of all the different colours that we've got going on there. Again, just to the flowers, but I've punched out a few hearts just to tie a little bit more in with the sentiment as well. On the black background, again, like I said, the flowers, I have added the heart there, just because I thought it fitted with the sentiment, and then gems in 2 different colours, and kept it quite completely different to the way I thought it was going to look when I first started out with it. And this one is probably as well one of the simpler designs as well. I just kept it very simple with some heart punches, and then I've also just put a couple of flowers on and a few gems and kept it that way. And then finally this one here, and I wanted this one to be a little bit more tropical, a little bit more hot, but again, it's just the flowers. I put some gold, I'm trying to see if it'll pick up, some gold shimmer pen, and then splattered it around and about, and a mixture of gems and a few sequins. But that's all the cards. So the idea of the video was actually stamping and onto coloured backgrounds with white, and bringing in some white pencil and bringing in a little bit of colour, something a little bit different from what I would normally make and thoroughly enjoy doing. Thank you ever so much for your time and your company. Love it if you new to my channel in any way that you actually hit like, subscribe. I'll look forward to seeing you all soon. Pictures and everything like this will also be on my blog, and everything is listed below. Thanks everyone. Take care.